2015 rolls around. It is April. It's a very warm April. And again, I see evidence that the bear may be back. Well, to keep the bear away from the property, I once again removed the bird feeders. And just to make sure, that I wasn't withholding food, and I enjoy watching my birds so much, I had placed some food out in the woods on the stump. And at that time I had an old trail camera, just a cheaper one, I don't even remember the brand, that we had purchased from Walmart. And I set it up in front of the food to see if I could capture evidence that it was the bear back. Now, this bear had grown a lot since the first videos that I had captured of him in my front yard. And so I think I had some leftover boiled eggs, and I put the video camera up, and the next morning retrieved it, and you see the eggs sitting there. There were crows coming in. They pecked them in a little bit, but then all of a sudden the camera quit functioning, and there were several minutes that went by with no video, no images, and when it came back, the food was gone. Well, this continued to occur. I continued to put things out there to see if the bear was around so that we could be aware, and this camera just kept failing. So at that time, we purchased 2 Reconyx trail cams. Much better quality than this one, and it had time-lapse and better quality video, night vision. And once again, I placed the food out on the stump, but the video cameras set them up, and this time-lapse feature on these Reconyx cameras will take an image every minute. So I retrieved the cameras, and I am so excited to see what is taking the food. And again, they're functioning, taking a picture every minute. If a squirrel, a bird, deer walks through, the sensor triggers the video, and I'm getting video. The food is still there. Once again, these cameras fail. They, just for minutes, one time I think it was 7 minutes, the other time 15 minutes, and when they come back, the food is gone. You can imagine my frustration of not understanding why these cameras were failing only when the food was being taken. So at that time, I gave up and just started putting the trail cameras out in our woods at different locations. At times, the video would be triggered, and I would hear weird tappings, and was not sure what had triggered it and what was making these sounds. I mean, it could have been anything, walking around, maybe a squirrel sitting on a tree moving a branch. And so I just continued putting out my cameras, enjoying the wildlife that I was capturing that lived on our property. And then I started finding objects sitting on top of the trail cameras. One, I found bones, which again could be explained as rodents will chew on bones. I thought maybe a squirrel or chipmunk or something had drug it up there and sat on top of the trail cams gnawing at them. Until one day I went out and I found this little rubber toy sitting on top of the trail camera. And I'm thinking, what would do this? Also, I was capturing some unusual audio with nothing in the video frame. So at this time I decided to go and get an audio recorder. I had never done anything like this in my life, but with my husband's help, we took it out. We got a Tascam audio recorder. We got a plastic case, and we dremelled out the end of the plastic so the microphones could stick through, and we just covered that with press and seal so that it could not get wet. We hung it out in the woods several times, and our property butts up to a power line. At the bottom of our property is a pond, And so there was lots of frogs and insect noises that were quite loud at night. Well, in May of 2015, we took the camera out. My husband stood up on our four-wheeler to hang the audio recorder case up high, and he placed some older bananas in a branch of a tree. Now we have put it, I usually didn't take it out until right before dark, but this particular evening our daughter was coming to visit, so we went out early. Hung the audio recorder, I'm guessing it was probably 7.5 feet off the ground. And the next morning he was off work and we went out together bright and early to go and retrieve the audio recorder. As we are walking not far from the recorder, we see a crow laying on the ground, wings spread out, head was turned, laying there dead. There was absolutely no evidence of what happened. There was no blood. There seemed to be no trauma. It was just laying there. Well, you know, things happen to animals. I didn't think much of it at the time. And retrieved the recorder, and I would usually plug it in as I did my daily jobs. I wore a headset, put the recorder in my pocket, and would listen. Well, the next thing that occurred is something that to this day I cannot understand. Anyone who lives in the country or has been around wildlife knows that crows are very flighty. You cannot get near them. They have a sentinel that watches out for the rest of the crew. And on my audio recording that I am getting ready to load, you hear the birds, you hear the crows coming in. They must have been interested in the bananas. And you will hear 3 steps and a whack and the crow call out. To me, this made absolutely no sense. First of all, what could get close to a crow? What could hit it to cause its death? So I'm going to leave this episode with that recording.